Okay, hi guys, how you doing? It's Jacqueline Francis here. I hope that you all had a great weekend. I'm just quickly jumping on here, I guess as a reminder really about domestic abuse as we are currently easing ourselves out of this lockdown. So I'm the author of The Relationship Jigsaw and also Walk Quiet, Run Quick. Both books discuss issues surrounding domestic abuse. So this morning, as I was preparing to set myself up for the day, I just happened to be watching the BBC News, which is, I mean, I watch it all the time anyway. But they were talking about lockdown. Domestic abuse has risen since lockdown. As we know, we are in a pandemic. We are still in a pandemic. So just to remind those who feel that just because you know, we're going back out to work and we're having gatherings and stuff like that, we are still in a pandemic. And also a reminder that there are still women and men living in relationships where they are being abused. So I just wanted to come on here and give a gentle reminder that there are people suffering, in silence, and that we should be mindful of that once we, go about our daily businesses. And also for those who are actually in an abusive relationship and are suffering in silence, that there is help out there. So I just want to recall some statistics or what was said this morning on the BBC, and that refugees are saying that they are struggling. Like Solace, for example, they were struggling to accommodate a woman and her child in a refuge, and they had to try to make other alternative arrangements, and also the fact that there are a lot of women out there who are struggling, families who are struggling in during these times. So I don't want you to forget what's actually going on as we are, during this time of the pandemic. But they also said that 19 days after lockdown, it was said that there were about 2 million people who contacted the helpline, the domestic abuse helpline. Now, 2 million during the pandemic. I mean, that's an astonishing number. But the problem is that refugees are having to turn women away. Last week in The Guardian, I read that women are being turned away from refugees, even when there are vacancies, but simply because they didn't have interpreters available. These women did not speak any English, so they were not allowed access to those refugees simply because they couldn't get an interpreter. Now I'm kind of wondering, why that is. Was it just because there wasn't an interpreter available, or are there not enough funds to pay for an interpreter, or because of the influx of women coming to refugees? Does that mean that there was no interpreters available at that time? And I think it's just so disconcerting to know that this is what's going on, and I think it's really troubling as well, especially with women who have children with them as well, to be in a enclosed situation where they can see that their father or even their mother, as the perpetrator, assaulting the parent. It must be very, very hard for them. So I just want you guys to be mindful that these sort of things are still happening, and also to remember that although lockdown has eased somewhat and people are going back out to work, there are people who have actually lost their jobs and do not have and are not going out to work. And again, and children have not gone back to school. So again, everything's sort of like compounded, especially if you're in a small environment. To be perfectly honest, it doesn't really matter whether you live in a large house or a small house. It doesn't really matter. You're trapped in this gilded cage, and you're wondering whether there is any escape. And the fact that, who do you talk to? So I just want to remind you and this was what was shown today or mentioned today on the BBC, that since lockdown, it has been alleged that 11 women, 2 children, and 1 man had been killed. And that's in just a short period of time, which is, it beggars belief that, allegedly 11 women have been killed during this period. I don't know about you, it's a sad state of affair. If you have a comment, please do leave a comment as to what your thoughts are. What do you think about, this influx of calls to the helpline? The fact that 11 women, alleged 11 women have been killed, and including 2 children, and 1 man has been killed. What are your thoughts on domestic abuse? And another question that I wanted to ask is, what happens? The government are saying that there's going to be another spike, particularly during the winter period, maybe. If the government is struggling now to provide funds to help these refugees, and they're thinking that there's going to be another spike, what happens then? Is there the capacity to help these refugees and support these refugees, for them to be able to support these women? What do you think? Do you think there'll be enough finances to help support these women? What more can they be doing? And why did it take so long? When we first came across this issue with the rise of domestic abuse, why did it take so long? I think they said it was 19 days after lockdown that the government said that they would give 2 million to the helplines. Why did it take so long? And the lady on Solace was like saying, it just goes to show that it's not high on the government's agenda. So I'm here. I'm an advocate for healthy relationships. I write about it. I talk about it. Because I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. And I don't know who this message may get to. It may be someone who's going through that and think that they can't reach out to receive help due to their circumstances, but you don't have to suffer in silence. And when I say that, I don't say that lightly. And I know that everyone's circumstances are different, and it will be hard, it will be difficult, but if you can find a way to contact a friend or a family member, so that you're not stuck in this predicament, this gilded cage, and think that that there is no light at the end of the tunnel. Please, do not suffer in silence. Do reach out to the refugees. I will put the telephone number in the comments box afterwards. But I do encourage you, as difficult as it may seem, as it may be, please do not suffer in silence. Please do reach out to somebody. It's a very difficult time that we're living in at the moment. And, we all have a right, to live the life that we dreamed of living. We all have a right to be here, and I can't understand why someone, a man or a woman, think that it's okay to abuse another person. And I don't understand when one says, that they love this person, but yet, you're abusing that person. How can that? Totally does not make any sense. How can that be? So if you have a comment, please do leave a comment. What are your thoughts? Do you know anyone that you think might be suffering in silence? Have you seen any signs that they may have, withdrawn? Maybe they are a bubbly person. They may have withdrawn into themselves. Let them know that you are available to them, and you can provide any support, even if it means contacting the refugees or yourself on their behalf. I want to also let you know that tonight on BBC there's a program called Panorama, and it's called Escaping My Abuser at 7:30 p.m. tonight. So if you have the time, please do try and watch it, and see, educate yourself really as to what is actually going on behind closed doors. The lady on Solace was saying that there is funding available They have made funding available, but she also went on to say that the funding is available only up until the end of October. So the question is, what happens after October? Does that mean that the funding has been cut? All the spaces in the refugees have been taken up. You know, domestic abuse is still happening. It happened before the pandemic. It's now happening a lot more during the pandemic. And even after the pandemic. So, what are your thoughts? Please do leave a comment. How do we move forward in this? And I know that it's not just the UK alone. All over the world, where I've been reading that there is an increase in domestic abuse. And I know that although we may think things aren't being done in this country, in the UK, in Britain, a lot less is being done in other parts of the world. So, we may be, although it may not seem like it, we are at an advantage where there are places where people can go, but there are countries where nothing at all. It's actually a way of life, and I think we should be doing more to educate our young people. I do my utmost best and I speak to young people. I write about it. I talk about it. So if anyone wants me to come on their program to share, what I've spoken about and what coercive control is, and remember that it's not just physical abuse. There's controlling abuse, there's coercive abuse. So don't be fooled in thinking, well, look, I'm not being hit or anything like that, so I'm not being abused. The whole idea, domestic abuse encompasses a lot of other things that are going on that you may not recognize. So please do educate yourself, even if you're in a good place in your relationship. You may have a daughter or a son. Talk to them. Do you talk to them? I mean, I don't know. I know that I've spoken to my daughter. I'm creating this platform of awareness. So if any of you would like to come on Stop Sweeping It Under the Carpet, which is my Facebook, TV program, then please do inbox me and, join me and let me know and share your story, because you never know that your story may be helping somebody else. So, that's it. I just wanted, as I said, to bring to your attention the importance of talking about this taboo subject and the fact that, you don't have to suffer in silence. You really don't have to suffer in silence. And again, what happens when there is a second spike? What is the government going to do now if they're giving money or funding these refugees, only up until October? Then what happens? Are they going to be turning away women again? Is there going to be a rise in more deaths? Because this has an impact. I mean, what more can I say? I think I've said it without having to ramble on and without having to get too emotional about it, because as you can see, I'm quite passionate about this. So please, yes, for those of you who are going to watch it later on, watch this program later on, please do leave a comment. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about what the government is doing? Is the government doing enough? What happens if there's a second spike? Is there going to be more money channeled into these refugees to help support these refugees? And bearing in mind, it's not just these big refugees, there are small refugees as well. So please do, comment and let me know what your thoughts are. So yes, until next time, this is Jacqueline Francis, award-winning author, advocate for women and girls, and creating healthy relationships to help build confidence as well. So please do get in contact. Cheers. Talk to you later. Bye.